We're recording. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out for this work meeting. Today it's March 1st, 3:03 p.m. Today we're going to discuss various budgets, continue through the budget education process with the public that we've been going through. We have 4 department supervisors here, if we can get through all of them in the next hour. We have Rex with Public Lands. We have Ben Clement with GIS. We have Chris Rowley with Maintenance and Mosquito Abatement. And we have Tammy Ursenbach with Economic Development. We'll see them in that order. Commissioners, I don't know if there are any other announcements before we begin.
Nope, I don't have any.
Okay, we'll just jump right into this. As we're waiting for the projector to warm up, Rex, do you mind just kind of giving us an overview, and we'll jump into the numbers as soon as you're done? Give us an overview of what Public Lands, what you and your one-man department does for the county and the community and for those all around counties.
Well, my department handles not only public lands where we address issues to do with basically natural resource development and use on our public lands, and which directly affects everybody that lives in Carbon County and a lot of other counties around. But I also administer the road system, which basically has to do with ensuring that we have access to a lot of these places where economic development does it. It works very well together to be able to do this, because you can't get it if you can't get there.
Right.
So the long and short of it is I mostly work out of my office reviewing any kind of proposals that the BLM or the Forest Service make, any activities that comes down from any of the agencies that falls underneath the Department of Interior or the United States Department of Agriculture, issues to do with, right now we're working with the Special Recreation Management Areas, SRMAs. We're going to be moving into a travel plan, and what happens with our SRMA, a lot is going to depend on how we can manage our travel plan. And most of the issues that's going to probably affect us is going to be, more the controversial issues, I should say. It's going to be on the eastern side of the county, as we probably already know. But right now, that's one of the things we have in the fold. We have our forest plan going on, Manti La Salle Forest Plan, and I understand that they're going to have some information out for the counties somewhere in June. But right now, their interdisciplinary team is working over the existing conditions to try to do a full report to have the local counties and the cooperators address those issues right now. Right now, legislature's in session. There's a lot of different kinds of legislation that's going on. We have a new administration in Washington. Today, they announced that Ryan Zinke has been confirmed as the Secretary of Interior, which means that we'll probably, within the next week, know who our director for the BLM is going to be. And that's going to be very important to us, especially with the issues to do with coal and any kind of natural resource production in the county.
Well, very good. And in fact, you prepped a letter that Christian reviewed, and tell us a little bit about that letter.
I got a number of letters. Which one in particular?
Particular to the one that we're sending the governor.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, this has to do with the tax that California proposes to levy on Utah. They've actually created a tax that has to do with using any kind of like coal or any carbon-based element, I guess you could say, but mostly they've centered it on coal. If you produce coal, you have, and electricity from coal production goes to California, they have to pay a tariff, these companies that are producing it, which adds up to, I believe it's $30, $35 a ton that they have to pay to the state of California is a coal tax or a carbon tax. And they've only got till 2027, I believe, to allow this to happen. And then you got to convert over to natural gas, or you have to convert over to solar or some other type of method of producing electricity, or it'll be outlawed in California. Personally, I think that we ought to just quit selling them electricity, but let them dry up, fall in the ocean. But I guess maybe that's just my opinion.
Anyway, your role with public lands, with roads, with everything else that you have going on, you keep a close eye on things that might pertain to our county, to our way of life, and to the opportunities that lie in with our natural resources. And anyway, let's take a look at what it costs to do all those things. If I can turn the lights off, there we go. All right, so permanent employees, it's just you, Rex, and with the COLA this year, it just changes things to 68,000 right there. And benefits at 26. Subscriptions and membership, $500. Tell us a little bit about what we subscribe to, Rex.
The International Rights of Way Association, I've been a member of them for a number of years, which helps give me a little bit of background and understanding information on basically how they put roads together, structure their functional classifications of roads, and how to basically deal and to work with to get rights of way through different types of land, private property. So basically, it's something that has to do with mostly my my work with the administering the road system.
$3,500 on travel. Tell us where you travel and some of the places you go and what you do there, Rex.
$3,500 on my travel budget is mostly spent with, we've had some airfare, but mostly has to do with hotels. And when I go to, I've been involved in a lot of federal lands meetings. I've gone to Washington, D.C. I've worked on the RS-2477 issue. I've worked on the Red Rock issue with the wilderness stuff. We actually had 50 new congressmen sign on to the Red Rock Wilderness Bill as co-sponsors, and we went back and we got 48 of them in 3 days to take their names off of that co-sponsorship. This was working with Bob Widener back there. But basically, most of my travel has to do with federal lands. I've done a lot of work with going out and getting some more background information on endangered species, policies, to try to get policies passed, to get resolutions passed, to try to change what they want to do with wilderness designation and monuments and stuff like that, to try to get things like that done. That's what I've done. I've been in different states and met with congressional aides and staff to try to get consistent viewpoints from a lot of our Western congressmen and some people in the East
And
to work with us.
Sometimes your travel expenses are covered by the associations you belong to and some of these other entities, so it's not always on the county.
Yeah, so far this year I've been back east twice, and my airfare and my hotel, except for one night, was covered.
Rex, if we look at the past, and last year was 2,300, we've got you at 35. If we took that back to the 2,500, have you got other things already on the schedule that would hamper at this point in time?
The problem with my budget and what I do with it is I don't know what I got coming out of the box. In the last 8 years with the previous administration, I think everybody can understand that. You don't know what's going to come at you and what you're going to have to do to be there to try to get the information you need to work with it or against it. So $2,500, yeah, you want to pull $1,000 off of it? I mean, you guys decide.
I'd like to make that adjustment, commissioners.
I'll agree with that.
On office and expenses, the budget we were just looking at, Rex, before this meeting, did we have that much in office expenses? Office supplies and expenses, do you remember?
$1,000? Well, the problem is I've never had to use that much because I always run off of planning and zoning.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I had pretty much zero.
Well,
I think what happened last year, Barry, I don't know if you picked up I didn't have anything in my budget to take care of the stuff for my copier. Remember those, you bought two of the, what do you call them? Yeah, and they were, what, $750? I can't remember what the price was, but it was fairly expensive. And that's the reason why I upped my budget, was to compensate for things like that, because I had no idea what they cost. So I'm in my office periodically. I use a computer. Basically, a couple of reams, maybe 4 reams of paper a year and whatever pens I got. But when you start looking at things like that's where that comes in.
So we could adjust that down this year, another $500 then, it looks like.
Sure,
based on
if you want to do that.
what's there.
Of course, if there's 2 more toners at $750 apiece, then we'd have to open up the budget.
What's that?
Of course, if there were additional expenses beyond that, which we can foresee at this moment, 2 more toner cartridges at $750 apiece, then obviously we'd have to open up the budget either way.
Give Barry enough room that he can take care of me on when it comes to stuff like that. That's the other thing, so.
Okay, so equipment maintenance, we've got $2,500 there.
That was a carryover. I think that you probably can pull some money off of that. I don't know that for maintenance itself that I probably need probably about maybe $1,500 in order for oil changes and stuff like that, because when we did that, I had to get tires.
That should come out of fuel and lubes as far as your oil changes.
And I dropped that down because I've only been using around $700 to $800 in fuel and lubricants and stuff. But the equipment and maintenance, I usually charge my oil changes and stuff on maintenance, equipment maintenance.
Okay,
So commissioners, where do you want to adjust that one to then?
to the equipment maintenance,
Yes.
we've got 1,500 extra there. Let's take all 15. That was probably like he said, with the tires
Yeah,
at that 1 year.
I would take the $1,500 off, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, any
I'm good with that.
professional and technical, we increased that a little bit because some of the items that we were looking at this past year was utilizing other attorneys that specialize in public lands and RS 2477 roads and different things. Do you
Yeah,
feel that's appropriate for right now, Rex?
I believe, as far as I know, it is, yes.
Okay.
I would like to be able to keep our membership up with the American Stewards. They've done some really good work as far as our resolution on coordination basically come from those guys and the work that I'd done with them, which has been very effective in we getting into this forest plan revision.
Did we jump over fuel and lubricants? Did you guys want to comment on that?
I think we're good there.
Okay, I think the rest of it's good too. Any other concerns, questions for Rex?
No.
Rex, we appreciate what you do. You do a lot for the county. You read a lot of documents that are out there that special interest groups are filing, that the different federal agencies are filing, and you keep us up on what's going on, and we really appreciate you.
Well, you just have to remind me about which ones, and I can tell you about them. So thank you.
Thank you, Rex. Ben? How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Can you give us an overview of GIS, and I'll turn the lights back on for a moment?
Yeah, an overview of GIS is a difficult thing. Even in GIS conferences, it's sometimes difficult to explain what it is you do. It usually devolves into saying that you do something similar to Google Maps. But in thinking about this over the years, what I've come to realize is that what GIS does is try to make data more accessible and more easily understood. Historical note, when I first came to the county, people would go to the recorder's office and get a plat, and then they'd come to me and ask me where it was. And back in those days, we didn't really know, and what I would have to do is, I remember several times looking at taking a couple of printouts of the plat at different scales and laying it over some maps at different scales and going up to the front window on the building and using that for a makeshift light table to see if I could, adjust it to get an idea about where that parcel of ground was. We've come a long way since then. Between GIS department and the IT department, we now have a website that pretty much exposes most of the public information, not just to the county, but to the public as well, through our interactive internet mapping service. So now both people within the county staff and also just general public can have that information available to them at their fingertips. And Also, for those power users, they can do some rudimentary geospatial analysis right from the web interface. So we have a lot of data, and at one time, many years ago, we were probably the largest user of space data-wise in the county. We're not now because of things like video cameras that are recording all the time, but we try to make all of this data available to those people who need it in a way that they can understand it. And oftentimes a map or a picture is worth many thousands of words.
I know amongst the county, the various departments use your department substantially. The road shop, Daniel Campbell often explains to people that they save thousands upon thousands of dollars because of some of the route and mapping technology that you've been able to provide them and different things like that. You provide the general public with information. We also provide our legislatures with information. Work done by your department, shade files that we can send.
Yes.
You assist public lands with everything that they work on and do that needs to be sent typically to our legislatures.
And it is certainly our hope to help all of the departments within the county in some way.
Okay. Well, let's look at the numbers and see what it costs to run GIS department.
Okay.
All right. So permanent employees. How many employees do you have? Are you?
3.
3. The supervisor and 2 employees.
Correct.
We're looking at this year 151,000 with benefits of 90,000. Travel expenses around $5,000, and it's a little different than previous years. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Our main travel is our state GIS conference each year.
Mhm.
And let's see, left over. So the budgeted is from last year?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was hopeful that I could go to a different conference this year, but in light of the budget, I just assumed that that wasn't going to be the case. So I don't know why it's still at 5,000.
Yeah, I think we had previously spoken about taking that out, but
Yes.
So take 2,000, Commissioner?
mhm. Now, this particular year, I know that the surveyor is attempting to get some of that grant money for monuments. There may be a need for something in regards to your department because you guys assist the surveyor substantially. So if we do get some of that money, I would imagine that the expenses that your department incurs helping the surveyor may be taken out of that grant money.
Okay,
So,
that would be great. We don't very often use all of our office supplies and expense. So after our department head meeting, I believe it was 2 times ago, and when you as a commission explained to us that we needed to go cut to the bone, I sent a letter suggesting that we roll that back to $4,000.
and
And
I think we should try and see what we can work with this year to keep it around there.
okay,
And maybe adjust the next year if it's not enough.
Take 4,000 out.
Take
or
6,000
6,000
out.
now.
Take it down to 4.
Fuels and lubricants, I don't often use all of that, and especially in light of this year, I think we can roll that back to 1,400.
So
Take 600 out. Professional and technical pays for our software maintenance, which is about half of it. And the other part of it was our aerial photography program. In light of our difficulties, we've purchased the equipment. We can skip a year without using it. We have Google Earth photography to fall back on. So I suggest that we take that we take that budget down to 15,000. or take 10,000 out of it. It was very unfortunate that the main pilot, Red Tail had, that was working with me on that aerial photography project, was killed in an accident. So I think that we can probably just put that project on hold for whatever period of time is deemed necessary. We can't be as up to date, but we can still function.
We'd already talked about the plotter
Yes.
on the 15,000. We'd already taken that out.
Yes.
So knowing that if that one fails, we'll be addressing that too.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those difficult things. That plotter may chug along for a couple of more years. We don't know.
May chug along, yes, and if for some reason in a few months it bites the dust, when we understand.
We'll deal with it then.
Have to figure that out, yeah. Well,
Fair
you know, your department, like I mentioned before, it has serviced the other departments and other entities in the county and other entities as we've been able to communicate with our legislature. And we really appreciate the amazing service that you guys provide everyone. Comments that we usually get from the public and from other agencies is how up to date and up to speed the GIS department is and how helpful they are. And so I just wanted to extend our appreciation to you for creating that culture within your department.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Oh, Tammy, we're at Chris. Almost your turn. Almost your turn. But we, you know, Chris was starting to lean back like he was gonna, you know.
Skate through, gonna skip me.
No. Hey, Chris, how are you doing?
Good.
Now, tell us the departments that you're over. Tell us how many employees are in them. Tell us what you do for the public.
Okay, so I kind of broke on our department down. There's probably like 4 categories that we can kind of cover here. First of all, we go with the janitor. I'm over the janitorial services for the buildings here. I have 2 employees that take care of that, and their duties is to clean the carpets. They take out the trash, clean windows, flooring. You know, they maintain the restrooms, make sure that they're stocked with the supplies for not only the public but also the general public that come here, and make sure that they're clean and presentable for the county. And so that's basically what they do. And then
But that's in more than one building too, Chris.
yeah, that's more than one building, exactly. We take care of the sheriff's office, the detective's office, search and rescue, several other buildings throughout the
The
county.
intake building, this building, the detectives building.
Mhm.
So
Intake
they're
building.
spread.
Yeah, there are several buildings that we take care of. And then we can break the other part down into is we do building maintenance, which I have one regular full-time employee that does that, and then the others that have got time, you know, kind of help out and pitch in with that as well. And some of those skills is, you know, it's a variety of skills that we have to do that. You know, we've got to have, you know, knowledge of electrical. We have to have knowledge of a little bit of HVAC, the furnaces, carpentry, plumbing, mechanic skills. You know, we paint, you know, we patch roofs, some of the things that we do there. So there's a variety. It changes from day to day. We get calls constantly, you know, can you come and do this? The sink's not working, or, you know, something's not working right, so we come in and the furnace is not working properly, so we go in and try to fix that, and just several different things. You know, there's painting jobs. There might be, you know, pictures that need to be hung. There's just several things that involves. Also, along with that, you know, we're responsible for all the snow removal in the parking lots of all the county buildings and sidewalks and the necessary roofs. If, you know, you get too much snow on the roofs, we'll need to go up and remove some of that so that, you know, we don't have any structural damages to our buildings. That also, you know, we plow the sidewalks, And then we have to solve them as well, so that involves keeping them clear so we don't have any people falling and tripping on county property. Along with that also, we're responsible for trimming all of the county easements, road easements around the county. We're trimming trees so that the branches are not hanging over in the right of way and cars bumping into them and school buses. They're quite tall, and so they need to be able to drive under the roads and get off to the side so that, there's 2 lanes of traffic that come along. So we also take care of that. We also do indigent burials, which I haven't done that yet, but in the past we have done that. If there's an indigent burial, we're responsible for that. So that kind of covers, and we change all the air filters. That's another thing that we do in the buildings to make sure that our furnaces and our heating and air conditioning equipment are running efficiently and properly. Then we can break the other part down in is the county's, according to state law, we have to be able to take care of noxious weeds. And the state has a list of noxious weeds that they post every year. And so, and duties in that, noxious weeds are a huge environmental problem. And it's a concern for the county. We have several noxious weeds, invasive species that are in the county, and the state wants them to be eradicated or controlled, whatever we can do with that. And eradicating is very hard, so we try to keep them under control. And so, because infestation of noxious weeds, it drives out the native species of weeds, and and it increases erosion. Uses our precious water resources that we have here, and it decreases foliage production for not only domestic livestock but also for the wildlife. And so that's an essential program that we need to do, is be able to go out and survey county properties, identify noxious weeds, not only county properties, but if we see them on private properties, we need to be able to tell the private owner how to control the weeds, the noxious weeds and invasive weeds on their property. And so then that involves, you have to, be able to identify the proper herbicides that needs to be applied and the rate that needs to be applied to them so that they, we can eradicate them or control them. Along with that too, we do a lot of bare grounding on county properties, pre-emergence. For instance, like the airport, they have to have a right-of-way on each side of the runways, and it has to be vegetation free. And so we'll go out and bare ground that. We do it out to the fairgrounds, so that's looking presentable out there. Also the gun range and other county properties that we do. And with that too, we are also involved with the Skylines CWMA, and that's a cooperative that has been established with a lot of state and federal and other local government agencies, that we have these spray days that we go out and spray noxious weeds on BLM property, Forest Service properties, county properties, and some private properties that we spray on that. It's where they found a huge infestation of these noxious and invasive species. And then finally, the last portion of is the mosquito program. So we are, with this mosquito program, it's to protect the general public in general from diseases transmitted by mosquitoes like West Nile virus. And now there's several others that's coming down through. There's Zika, that's, it's a potential that might come into the county. So we would need to be able to eradicate the mosquitoes.
Yeah,
and so,
I was just going to point out from the health department, there's already been people here in the area that have traveled and received the Zika virus already.
Oh, have they? Mm-hmm. I wasn't aware of that. So we have it in our county right now then.
That's right.
So, so we need to be able to, control that. And so with the mosquitoes, we've kind of done a little bit different approach last year. In the past, we went out and fogged in the nighttime, and we were fogging from midnight until about 5 in the morning, which we found was ineffective. And so we've kind of changed that program around. So now, with the mosquitoes that cause the major problems, we need to be spraying at dusk until midnight, because that's when they're more active and we can get a better kill on that. We also found out that if we could, and by fogging, let me point this out too, by fogging mosquitoes, we only get like a 50% kill, if that, with fogging mosquitoes. And so we found out that if we can do larvicide, catch them in the larva stage, we can use larvicide chemicals that will give us a 98% kill on mosquitoes. And so that's what we kind of focused on this year, was to try to do the larvicide, which would be, the chemicals are quite a bit cheaper than the fog. And so that's what we've concentrated on this year. And this year was kind of an experimental trial. I thought we were very successful, but it could change. You know, last year we didn't have a wet year, so to speak. So that could change. You know, if we get it like we got now, we've got all this snow, this is going to put water in ponds. And with larvicide, let me kind of back up here before I go there. With larviciding, we go out and treat ponds, irrigated pastures, swampy areas, and things like that, to try to prevent the larvae from developing to adults. And so, you know, there's a lot of time involved in that, going out and trying to find these areas and make sure they're treated, and to go back periodically and make sure that, you know, there's nothing come back in since we've treated. And so that's what we've kind of concentrated. And you know, if we can kill them at the larva stage, and that's what this year, we don't really know what's going to happen, you know, because we've had a lot of snow, and so there could be a potential of a lot more mosquitoes this year.
And it's not that you're just using larvicide, you're also fogging as well.
Yes, and then yeah. And so we'll get complaints. If we get complaints that come in saying, you know, the mosquitoes are bad, then we concentrate on that areas to fog the mosquitoes. So we are doing both. But if we, you know.
But there may be some some significant future cost savings on using the larvicide if it is successful on wet years.
Yes.
Let's jump into the numbers, Chris.
Okay.
There we go. Looking at the maintenance budget first, since it's right there. Can you tell us how many employees we pay for with that $226,000?
Okay, that right there, that one was, we have 4 employees and myself that comes out of that, and we did have, you know, Brandon left, so I normally have 5 employees plus myself on that budget.
And so that's already been taken out, so we're already doing the same work with one less person.
Right.
Through attrition, we haven't rehired for that position. We still have the temporary employee.
Yes, and we hire a temporary employee for mosquitoes.
And the benefits of $158,000 for those individuals, for those 5.
Right.
We have travel expenses of around $2,000. Can you tell us what those are used for?
Okay, so those are they have little conferences on mosquitoes that we attend, and also on weeds. So we go to conferences to be, you know, get updated on that, and also with all those that are on the weeds or mosquitoes, they have to be licensed, state's licensed, and so that also, in order to keep our licenses, we have to go to classes that gives us CEUs to maintain our license. Otherwise, we'd have to retake tests every 3 years, so.
And there will be courses this year that you weren't able to attend last year, having been hired partway through the year, which is
Right.
why the 2,000 is there, even though it wasn't all spent last year.
Yeah.
Equipment, supplies, and maintenance. Can you tell us about that 35,000?
Okay, yeah, the 35,000 goes into, you know, vehicle repairs. It goes into, you know, the small things that, you know, bolts and that kind of things. Ballasts, lights, are some of the things that come out of that.
Fuels and lubricants. It seems like we had quite a bit left over from last year. And again, you came in partway through the year, and there were a few months when things weren't done. Can you tell us if there's any savings we can have from that 15,000 budgeted? Had we can see that there's already
Yeah,
5,000 that's been
So
taken
we-
out.
Yeah, so we had 20,000 that we had budgeted, and I think we took 5,000 already out of that to drop it down to the 15. And I think, you know, part of that too is fogging. We didn't do as much fogging this last year, so that's probably why that's dropped down a little bit. We wasn't using as much fuel. And there again, you know, who knows what this year would be. If we have to do a lot more fogging, then we're going to be pushing that.
Maybe we should leave that the same. What do you think, commissioners?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Utilities.
And
Tell-
the utilities are for that budget is for the maintenance buildings out in the industrial park.
We've already taken 1,000 out of that, so I think we need to leave that where it's at.
Okay. Special supplies and chemicals.
Okay,
This is where we think in the future we might have significant savings if the larvicide is successful, right?
Right. And see, you can see that that's what we've done. We only spent last year 68,000. That's because we didn't buy as much adulticide.
And I think the discussion has been to see if we can repeat that before we completely remove it from your budget.
Right.
And so if we do have cost savings or amounts roll over, then we'll consider ourselves fortunate. Otherwise, you may need all of that for this year.
Right.
Equipment, 17,000. Can you tell us about what we're purchasing extra there?
Okay, so that one, we're going to be purchasing another side-by-side. We felt that was necessary to go with, you know, that'd put it. So basically, we have 4 guys that go out and do, you know, spraying of the weeds. So one of them has to set, you know, I only got 3 machines. And so we need the 4th machine to be effective in that. And with some of the sprays, you know, it's kind of hard to do it with just 3 people. If you got more people in there, then we can get a better kill on the weeds. And also, you know, that could be used as well as you know, with the mosquitoes. Because right now, what we done last year was we bought a backpack sprayer, and so the guys would go out in wetted sloughs and irrigated areas and try to do that with a backpack. We also kind of bought a little spreader that goes on the back of an ATV that we can put back of an ATV that, you know, that would prevent you know, a little less travel footwear on my man to be able to spread the larvicide. So that's what we're asking for that.
Chris, one thing I would recommend that you do is check with the Sheriff's Department, particularly with search and rescue. They, in the past, as they have had units come that they're going to replace, we've been able to, you know, pick those up. That's what we've done in the fairgrounds in the past. So you may check and see if there's any equipment that they're turning over, because they've still got, you know, some life in it, or they're upgrading, or whatever the case might be. But you may find something there that would work too.
Okay.
Any more comments on the maintenance budget?
No.
Next budget, Barry? Oh, for,
Industrial Park.
yes.
I think in my haste I may have forgot that. We can look at the one on the web as well.
We've got the industrial park, and what else falls under yours?
Janitorial.
Janitorial.
Let's see, was they on that one sheet, that original?
There we are, 1041.94. Which employees are assigned to the industrial park?
That would be Nick.
Nick.
Just one person on that one.
And he primarily does building maintenance and things.
Right. He does all the, yeah, that's his
Okay, so that's
primary
his,
function.
that's his wage, that's his benefits, those are his benefits, equipment, supplies, and maintenance. Plus the utilities.
And the utilities would be out to his shop and out to the industrial park.
Mhm. And the supplies and maintenance have been brought down to kind of what they've been averaging. That's pretty much his budget. Any questions about that?
Nope.
All right, now the janitorial. Courthouse. So that 62,000 represents 2 employees
Yes.
with 45,000 in benefits, 55,000 for building and grounds.
hmm
Can you tell us what the buildings and grounds goes towards?
Okay, the buildings and the grounds, that's for like the janitorial supplies in the building, chemical,
The cleanup
the
materials.
cleanup materials, salt that we put out on there would be for the grounds.
Utilities, of course, are what they are. And $2,000 there for janitorial service. Tell us what that means.
Okay, so janitorial services is for instance, things that we couldn't do. If we had a major leak or something in here that the janitors couldn't clean up, then we might have to hire a carpet cleaner to come in and clean that. I think we've with this new building, some of the windows, our janitors can't reach the higher levels of the windows, so this last year we brought in a window cleaner to clean some of the higher windows, a professional person to clean the windows. So it's stuff like that, something that, that our regular janitors couldn't do, that we might have to bring in somebody from the outside to help.
Well, Chris, we don't want to rush you, but we do have Tammy, and she's got a large budget too, so we want to get to her. Any more questions for Chris?
Just on this courthouse set, do we need to label that differently? Because it, they work beyond this building, this administration building, or what would you suggest there? Okay.
We could probably just call it janitorial, might be more efficient, where they do service more than just the courthouse. They service several buildings. Thank you. All right, thank you,
Thanks,
Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate all that you take care of. Several different areas. Tammy, time is yours this time. Tell us a little bit about economic development, who you have with you, and what you're working on.
Okay, I have one employee, an assistant, so there's 2 of us in my budget. And we do many different things. We work with the local businesses to help them and support them to grow or at least to maintain here with the ones that are ready. So, and that's where my assistant comes in and is able to work with them really regularly because she knows them a lot better. She's been here many years. So we help to bring them in, or we go out to their site and work with them and help to see where they're at, what we can do to support them, whether it's with grants or giving them the tools that they need to be able to grow, including tools from outside the area that we can bring in to help them. Another thing that we do is education and networking, so explaining and educating the community on things that we need to do and how to do that so that we as a community can work together and to grow. One of the tools I have to do that with is my Economic Development Committee that we created just this month, a year ago. And on that committee, we have subcommittees. One is a strategic plan, one's customer service, one is beautification, brownfields, aerospace, IT, recruitment from outside the area for people, not just for business development, and my conference. So there's quite a bit in that area that we're working on. And educating the community on what we can do to help to grow. So such as beautification. If our on and off ramps look nicer, it's inviting not just for new businesses and people coming into the area, but it helps to encourage more tourism as well and people to come and stay. And so little things make a big difference. And then, so that's where the beautification subcommittee is working on. And then after that, then they'll go up 100 North in Price, maybe 3rd or 4th East up towards the college. And then they're going to, I think after that, go into Wellington, but I'm not sure. So different cities where the needs are, what we can do to encourage people to really want to stop and pull off the road and hopefully stay here. Another thing that we do is I do a lot of networking because that's how I'm able to recruit more companies and with companies coming in. So I sit currently on the EDC Utah Rural Committee, networking and brainstorming and working with them as well as people outside the area. What can we do to encourage more growth within rural Utah? And Carbon County is a pilot program, a pilot county with some of the programs that they have. And so there's 4 counties, and we seem to be the one that's rising to the top out of all of those even. So it's exciting that we really are getting on the map. I also sit on the board for Utah Alliance, which is for economic developers as well as larger companies, contractors, banks, anything would have to do with economic development, architects, anything, or government agencies that want to be part. We all meet together quarterly and discuss ways that we can help the state to grow, what needs we have, educate us on things such as electricity and our utilities and incentives and all the things that we can use and fill our toolbox so that we can be more successful. And then I go to, I also attend the Rural Governors Partnership Board, and we've created, Alaire Emery with the Department of Energy and I have created an advanced coal resource group. So we're specifically focusing on what we can do to support the coal within our county and within our state. And in that particular group, we have government entities, some universities, private companies, and then we also have Carbon, Emery, Sevier, Kane, Millard, and I heard that there's 1 or 2 more counties that want to attend, but I think those are the ones that have attended so far. I attend conferences so that we can then be educated enough to be prepared and ready, but there's specific conferences to rural Utah. We have a rural conference every year in August down in Cedar City, the Governor's Economic Development Conference, the energy conference that we have, and there's 2 of those, one in May by the state and one in September by the Uintah County, and both are very, very important to be there to make sure and network and meet and understand and be educated on the energy within our state, and then the Air and Energy Conference. And then I work closely with other government entities such as the Governor's Office of Economic Development, the World Trade Center, PTAC, and then lastly, most important but long-term because it takes time, is recruiting businesses to come to the area and networking and reaching out and researching the businesses so that we can know who to reach out to. So a lot. It's fun. But anyway, we have a big conference we're putting together as part of that recruitment in September that we are realizing that we need to look at our fossil fuels differently. And it's not going to be the same in 10 years as it is today in how we process and how we sell and how it's used. So we need to look differently for those processes and what they are and how we can use our fossil fuels, specifically our coal in our area and our gas. But the conference is to look to the future, so the future of fossil fuel, and we're bringing in some big people. I only have confirmed one keynote speaker right now, and he's with the federal government out of the Department of Agriculture, Bryce Quick, but I'm waiting for somebody much bigger than him, so we'll see. Hopefully within a few days I will be able to solidify that one as well. But anyway.
Well, very, very good. Thank you, Tammy. And let's look at what it costs to run economic development here in the
Okay.
county.
Okay.
Let me turn the lights off. I must have the wrong thumbprint or something. There we go. So for the 2 employees, permanent employees, are both of you there in that 90,000?
Yes.
And then 48,000 for benefits.
Mhm.
Travel expenses, $5,000. We had budgeted previously 8,000 and went over 1,290. Can you tell us what plans you've made to stay under 5 this year?
If I stay under 5, that means I'm going to have to cut out a lot of the conferences I go to. So that 5,000 is not just driving back and forth over the mountain. That's my meals, my transportation and hotels, but it's also the conferences that I attend. So to go to a conference for 200 here and 150 there is going to be maybe cutting out some of those conferences.
Now, you have been able to strategize a little bit to find other funding sources for some of the events. You've gotten into a few for free with friends and associates
I
that you
have.
have.
All the way to Vegas with one.
There you go.
So we'll continue to try and do that.
We
I
want-
worked out yesterday for me to attend the Governor's Energy Summit for free in May.
Office supplies and expenses, $1,100 there. It's kind of same as what we've had before. Postage.
It is. We might be able to cut that down a little bit, but we're talking, maybe a couple hundred.
Tell us what you use the office supplies and expenses with postage. What do you use those items on? What does economic development use those for?
A lot of that was for the conference that I put on last year. So brochures and that type of thing that we printed in-house, we did not send out, so it saved us quite a bit. If you send out to have the work printed, then it's going to cost us a lot more. So a lot of that is, sometimes I can print material to take out and send to businesses that we recruit, and that's where some of that postage is I was mailing. When I mail a package, sometimes it's not just a few stamps here or there, it's a full package with a book and information I send out.
Okay. Now, I know in the Economic Development Committee, you've talked about making new brochures and different things. Is that figured into this expense?
No. So we're trying to, that wouldn't be office expense, that would be somewhere else, but we're trying to do most of that in-house. If we cannot, we're going to have to send out, and that would be under one of the others, under promotion, either promotion expenses, or I could put it under contracted services, probably is where it would go.
And the telephone is the county cell phone?
It is.
The
On
professional.
that one,
Mm-hmm.
there was only 76. Is that for your cell phone?
I had
guess
to get a new, my other cell phone broke, so I had to get a new cell phone this year, so you might be able to take out a little bit, but that Barry would know. I don't know how much my monthly is on that. It looks like maybe $63, is that? I don't know.
There's a little bit extra in there.
I think we're okay.
Professional and technical, the 51,000. Can you?
51,000 is for the strategic planning that we're doing. The consultants that came in, their bill alone was 25,000, and then the other 25,000 was set in there for helping to implement the plan that we put in place, so that we don't have just a piece of paper sitting there, but we can actually implement it. So that was at the end of last year, I think in November, December, I don't remember when we put it in there.
Yeah, we allocated the 25 to do the study and then set the other 25 to come back for approval after we see what those recommendations are.
For the implementation part.
And that
Exactly.
Economic Development Committee is working with them. You had a meeting last week with some county county-wide
We did.
input,
For 2
and
days.
so we are moving forward with that.
Yes, and it's expected to be finished and completed within 4 months. We started in February, so probably by the end of May, we should be finished with that. And then we'll know what our next steps are. The company that we're using, we're excited. They're the ones that actually worked with the state of Utah to bring in Procter & Gamble. They have other companies, and we were told that they would hopefully be able to work with us in finding someone else. We don't know that that will happen, but we're hoping that within that $25,000 that we're working with them. They were much cheaper than some of the other companies that we were looking at. We have 2 companies that were much higher. One went up to $70,000. But this company seemed to have the tools and the relationships we needed to get the work done. I've been impressed with them so far.
You have the promotion expense. Tell us about the $3,000 there.
That is the money that I use to send out and work with businesses that come into the area. So whether I'm using it to do little teasers to get them to come out, or when they actually get here to get them to come into the area. Sometimes it's not necessarily the actual business. It might be a site selector. It might be someone else.
We have $1,000 to the 6 or 7 county.
Now 7
economic-
county.
Mhm.
And that's for the meals. Those are hosted here at our building.
And that comes out of your budget.
Mhm.
EDC Utah, that's the
You can
membership.
drop that $300, $330.
The
Is it
EDC
300?
Utah or the 7 county?
EDC Utah. It's 2,670, and that should be the same this year. So whatever the difference
So
is,
$230?
$230, yeah. In Utah Alliance, I've already submitted. That's $250. Or that's just
Contracted
submitted.
services?
For the $20,000, that is $20,000 that was put in there specifically to help me recruit.
Sorry, that's
Am I?
conference expenditures.
Yeah, that's for the conference, to help me to recruit outside the area. Such as, one of the things that we're doing is we will put something in the energy supplement that goes out to the paper and it's mailed, but it's going out to 7+ states. So it's not just going out to our state. So in that particular piece will cost about $600 for the advertisement to get out into 7 states. And now they've actually told me yesterday that they're starting to expand even more states, but specifically for the surrounding area of Utah, and then they've got Texas and some others that have been added in.
All right, now down to the contracted services, the 2 different categories we have there.
Okay, so the contracted services for the 3,000 would be if we have to go out, and right now it's looking like we're going to have to go out and get somebody to come in and do our graphic design and help to create our brochures and that type of thing in our full portfolio. I think I've talked to somewhere between 8 and 10 different organizations and people, and we just don't have the tools here. We're probably going to have to go outside the area to get what we need. And then the 5,000 one is for BEAR, and that's something that we do every year. We contribute towards the BEAR program that we have in the county.
Commissioners, I know that we almost went through that too fast, but are there comments and questions for Tammy in regards to her budget?
I don't have any.
No.
Tammy, we appreciate what you're doing. We appreciate the notoriety, other officials up at the state level, and people outside of the state that know who we are because of you. Keep with the hard work that you're doing, and let's see if we can't bring something amazing here to the county.
Thank you. Well, I just want to make one comment because of what you just said, and that is, and it's not me, it's the county as a whole, but because of the work that we as a county are doing, the 6 County Infrastructure Coalition and Commissioner Potter that sits on that, and all the other things that we do at the Rural Day on the Hill that was on February 10th, it was only our county that was highlighted 3 different times. And I think that that's important for us to see, that we don't always see the work that we're doing because it's behind the scenes, but the people of the state do see, and they're grateful as well. So thank you.
It was unusual that our county was
It
mentioned
was.
so much and nobody else was highlighted.
Yeah. I guess one other thing is, and it's a very big goal, and I pray it's attainable, but the governor has a initiative to have 25,000 jobs within rural Utah, and we as a county and my department have made a very overly large goal of making 5,000 for our county within the next 4 years. And we did that because some of the counties do not have I mean, they only have public lands mostly. They don't have a lot of private lands to be able to grow on. And some are so small, they just don't have the population to support that. And so some of the larger counties have to make up the difference. And the meeting I was in yesterday, they made the comment that if we don't do that, St. George is going to have to count as part, and they're going to start counting some of those jobs, and the governor doesn't want to do that. So all of the other counties that are larger, the Uintas and the Cache and some of the others that are larger, and Box Elders, we're going to have to step in. So that's our goal, is 5,000 jobs. I hope it's attainable, but at least we're going to try. So
Thank you, Tammy.
thank you.
Thanks.
That was our budget meeting for today, the 1st of March. We appreciate everybody who's come and sat in attendance and all those who are viewing this online. We'll adjourn and reconvene as the Board of Commissioners at 4:30.